We're back for video number 2, and today's video is going to be about training. Chances are you're still not able to use a gym. It's been so awesome seeing the amount of fitness accounts and different gyms posting like the online stuff, the stories on Instagram and everything like that, but at the end of the day, like, you miss the gym. There's things that you can do in the gym that you can't do at home. The way the humans work, whenever you take something away from us and you tell us that you can't do it, it makes us want to do it more. So because we haven't been able to go to the gym in so long, when we go back, you're not going to take it for granted. Your attitude is going to be great, so you're going to put yourself in a great position to make some great progress and make some good gains. But now it comes down to the topic of the video: what to do when you get to the gym. Okay, so how do you design a workout program for yourself that you can follow along to and actually make some progress in and get better in? The amount of friends that I have that when I talk to about like, oh yeah, what are you doing in the gym? Like, they have one workout for each body part. They have a chest and back day, they have an arms and shoulders day, and they have a leg day. And they literally just go do that workout the exact same time, exact same number of reps, exact same number of sets. Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you're doing the same thing over and over again, the same routine for each body part, how can you expect to make any progress and to make any changes in your body or to get stronger? And then on the other hand, you have, this is usually more females who, and it's okay, right? But like, who don't know what they're doing when they go to the gym. And this could be males too. But you have no idea what you're doing when you get to the gym. So you end up just heading to the cardio section, picking your equipment of choice, whether it's going to be the elliptical, the treadmill, the Stairmaster, whatever you choose for that day. You crank it about 30 minutes, and then you maybe go use some of the machines if you're feeling brave. If either of those sound like you, this video is for you. You've done the hard part. You've made the decision, you've made the commitment to go to the gym. But now it's about, okay, what can we do in the gym to make your workouts more effective and to optimize your time in the gym? At the end of the day, I think that everyone should be working with a trainer. If you needed a root canal, you need to get a tooth pulled, you wouldn't Google, how do I do this? How do I perform a root canal and then try to do it yourself, right? You would go see a professional. So same thing goes with the gym, but it's just harder because like there's so much information out there that's so easily accessible that it makes everyone think that like, oh, designing a workout program is easy. I don't need a trainer, I can go do this. If you are interested in program design, hit me up on Instagram, DM me, and comment on the YouTube video. All my information's in the bio. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is reps. Okay, so reps is the principle of training, the variable of training that you will adapt to the quickest. So with that being said, it's the thing that needs to get changed the most. If you are a beginner, you will have success at any rep range. You can pretty much do anything. You can take like a shake weight, a Bowflex, anything you've seen on like an infomercial, and you're going to get some great results with it because you've never trained before. How many reps you should be doing is dependent upon your goal. Let's say your goal is to put on muscle. We want you working in the 8 to 12 rep range, okay? Let's say your goal is to put on muscle, but you also want to get stronger at the same time. We're going to be working in the 6 to 8 rep range, okay? Let's say you don't really care about putting muscle and your goal is to just get stronger. We're going to be working in the 1 to 5 rep range. The more reps you do in relation to 12, your adaptations are going to be more putting on muscle and stuff like that. And the less reps you do, so closer to 1 in that 1 to 5 range, the outcome is going to be more central nervous system adaptation, so it's going to be getting stronger, okay? You're still going to put on a little bit of muscle when you do 1 to 5, and you're still going to get stronger when you lift in that 8 to 12 rep range. It's just not what the focus and the priority of the training is, okay? So the first thing that you got to do is pick your goal. Once you pick your goal, then you pick your rep range. Okay, so we've got your reps covered. The next thing we're going to talk about is sets, okay? So what's the magic number of sets? The important thing to remember about sets is that reps and sets have an inverse relationship. The more reps you do, the less sets you'll do, okay? The less reps that you'll do, the more sets that you'll do. Whenever you're designing a workout program, always start with the reps, because your reps dictate the outcome of the training program. It dictates which strength quality you're going to work on between hypertrophy, functional hypertrophy, and relative strength, okay? So that hypertrophy is that 8 to 12, functional hypertrophy is that 6 to 8, and relative strength is that 1 to 5 rep range, okay? So if you pick 12 reps, then you're probably gonna start with about 3 sets. So your workouts are gonna be 3 times 12 reps. You could push it to a 4 times 12, but it all depends on your training age, right? And how new you are to this. If you've been training for a while, chances are you could handle some more volume and you can increase that, and you could add another set and go 4 sets of 12. Then on the other hand, let's say you wanna work on relative strength and you wanna do 3 reps, okay? Then you're gonna look more like 6 sets of 3, 7 sets of 3. You're getting up in that higher sets range because we're trying to increase maximal strength. It all pretty much comes down to volume and intensity. Volume equals more reps with less weight. Intensity equals less reps with higher weight. So it's funny, you hear like people say, oh, I just did this intense workout. And it's like they're doing like, they just did like a group fitness class, or they did like a body weight training class. And it's like, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that class. Like those are great. If that's what you like to do, then go for it. But it's like just purely based off of the definition of intensity, that's not an intense class. Intense means a lot of weight. It's kind of funny, like you see it on all the on Instagram all day. It's like intense workout, intense this, but it's like burpees or something like that. And it's like, is that really intense? Not really by definition, by the universally accepted definition of intensity. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna pick your reps, and then based off of where those reps fall, if it's less reps, then you're gonna do higher reps. Then you're gonna do higher sets. If it's more reps, then you're gonna do less sets. Now let's talk about rest periods, okay? So this one is like often not really touched, I find, when it comes to strength training. And it's one of the most like not used principles. And I think a lot of it has to do with smartphones. If I suddenly go on Instagram between my sets, then that rest period can quickly go from 90 seconds to like 3 or 4 minutes. You just get lost on there. My number one piece of advice to you when it comes to rest periods is invest in a manual stopwatch, okay? If you use the stopwatch on your phone, it's just like there's so many distractions there. But how do you pick a rest period? So the rest periods kind of go in the same way, like they have an inverse relationship with reps as well. With more reps, you should actually take less rest. It's hypertrophy. You're trying to put on muscle, and your muscular system doesn't need as much rest. Supersetting is just like the best way to get the biggest bang for your buck out of that exercise. So it's pretty much just pairing two opposite muscle groups, two agonists and antagonists, and alternating between them back and forth. If I'm doing an upper body workout, I would pair like a chin up with a overhead press. Instead of just doing straight chin ups and having to take 3 minutes rest between each set of chin ups, I would do bench press, take 90 seconds rest, and then do chin ups and take 90 seconds rest. Because then you're still getting all that rest period, because when you're benching, your back is resting, your back and biceps are resting. And when you're chinning, your chest and your triceps are resting. You're working out a different muscle while the muscle that you just worked can recover, right? So it just makes it so you can take less rest because you're resting while you're working, essentially. So if you're on the opposite end of that spectrum and you pick like, okay, I want to do 2 reps. So now you're doing like 8 sets of 2. Now you actually want complete rest periods. So we're gonna be more in that like 4 minutes, like 4 full minutes. Like you might squat just by itself and you'll take 4 minutes rest before you squat again. The more volume, like so if you're doing a more volume focused workout, you're going to be taking less rest. And if you're doing a more intense workout, so when the focus is intensity and you're trying to drive weight, you're going to be taking more rest. Now we're going to talk about tempo. So first off, like what is tempo? Tempo is essentially the speed at which you perform a rep at. I use Charles Poliquin's system for tempo, which is a 4-digit system. So the first number represents the eccentric contraction. The second number represents a pause, if any, in the shortened position. The third number represents a concentric contraction. And the fourth number represents a pause, if any, in the stretch position, okay? So a 4-0-1-0 tempo on a back squat would look like a 4-second count on the way down, no pause in the bottom, 1 second on the way up, no pause in the top, right back into the next rep. If it was a 3, 2, 1, 0 tempo, then it would be 3 seconds on the way down, a 2-second pause on the bottom of the rep, and then 1 second on the way up, no pause at the top. For the most part, when you're designing your program, you should generally stay in the 4-0-1-0 range, okay? Because most people have never trained with tempo before. And the first time that I prescribe someone a program that includes tempo, they are so sore the next day, and they'll actually get so many gains, and their progress will skyrocket. And it's literally just because it's increasing the time under tension. If you take two people, like two of the exact same guys, and they both do bench press, they both are doing the bench press, and they both have 4 sets of 10 reps, okay? And one guy goes under and he just goes up and down with no tempo. The next guy goes in and he does a 4-0-1-0 tempo. Each one of his reps is going to take him 5 seconds, okay? 4 seconds on the way down, then 1 second on the way up. No pause at the top, no pause at the bottom. So if he does 12 reps with a 4-0-1-0 tempo, 12 times 5, he's looking at 60 seconds of time under tension compared to 15 seconds of time under tension for the other guy who just went down and up each time, right? So now, like, that 60 seconds of time under tension, that's so much more tension that you're putting your muscles under. So the opportunity for growth, the opportunity for strength gains, increases in size is so much more vast than if you just crank out weight, right? When you don't focus on the eccentric and you just lower the weight, you're just missing out on a whole contraction. You're focusing on the concentric traction and just ignoring the eccentric contraction, right? And there's a time and place where you might just focus on the pull and just focus on the push and not really worry about the eccentric. But for the vast majority of people, the benefits that you're going to get from eccentric training are going to be so much more, like the return on your investment is so much more than if you were to not do it, okay? So when you design your program, I would go 4-0-1-0 on most exercises. And then if you do a back movement, I would go a 3-0-1-1 tempo, okay? So what that means is, let's say you're doing a row, you would pull in 1 second, you would hold for 1 second at the back, then you would control 3, 2, 1. So it's the exact same time under tension as the 4-0-1-0. Each rep still takes 5 seconds, but I just like adding that pause in the contracted position just to really emphasize driving those elbows back. The next thing that we're going to talk about is your exercise selection. Okay, so what exercises should you be doing when you go to the gym? So I already touched a little bit about supersets. So I 100% believe that you should be using supersets. It's just you're going to get more exercises in, you're going to get more work in a shorter period of time. When it comes to what exercises you should pick, how many exercises you should pick in a workout. Again, it all depends on what your goal is. So what is the goal of the training program? One rule that you always have to follow by is you should not spend more than an hour in the gym. The main reason you want to limit your workouts to that hour window is because of your testosterone and your cortisol, the relationship between those two. Testosterone and cortisol are made of the same raw material. So when you start to work out, your testosterone is going to increase. And then if you work out for too long and you extend that workout into like longer than an hour, that hour and a half, that 2 hour range, you're going to stop producing testosterone, you're going to start producing cortisol. Okay, and that's not what we want. As soon as you're done your workout, you want to cut your production of cortisol and then move on, right? If your focus is on hypertrophy, you're going to be doing less sets, more reps, and you're going to be taking less reps. That means that you're going to be able to fit more exercises into that hour window. If your focus is intensity and you're working in that relative strength range, then you're going to be doing a lot more sets, taking a lot more rest, so you're going to be doing less exercises, okay? So for a general rule of thumb, if you're on that hypertrophy side, you might be able to get in between 6 to 8 exercises. So that's 3 to 4 supersets. You would have a series, a B series, and a C series. So that A series would be your first 2 exercises supersetted together. B series would be your second 2 exercises supersetted together, and C series would be your third 2 exercises supersetted together, okay? That's probably going to be right in that 45 to an hour window for working out. if you're focusing on intensity and now you're driving the amount of sets, you might just get in your A series. Let's say you do 8 sets of 2. That's going to take you like 35 minutes, right? 8 sets of 2 with 4 minutes rest. That's going to take you a long time. So now your B series, you might only be able to do like 3 sets of 8 or something like that. As a general rule of thumb, you want to start the workout with the most bang for your buck exercise, or the exercise that is the most neurologically demanding. So if you're doing a leg day, you're not really going to start your workout with calf raises, because you're just recruiting one muscle group when you do a calf raise. You're going to want to start with something like a squat or a deadlift, because that's recruiting multiple different muscle groups. It's more bang for your buck, and it's more neurologically demanding. It takes more energy to do those. So you're at the beginning of the workout is when you're the most fresh. So that's when you want to do those hard movements that you're going to be moving more weight in, like a squat or a deadlift. As you continue the workout, you're going to get more and more fatigued. So by the end of it, doing exercises that don't take as much energy, that you're not using as many muscle groups, that's where you're going to want to put those in. Same thing goes for upper body, right? You're going to start with like overhead press, where you're using your chest and your triceps and your shoulders. Or you're going to start with like a chin up, right? Those are very neurologically demanding. Those are very energy consuming. So you've picked your reps. I want to do hypertrophy, so I want to work in that 8 to 10 rep range. So you superset 2 exercises together. Let's say you do overhead press and you do neutral grip chin ups, and you do 4 sets of 10 of both of those with 90 seconds in between. When you move on to your B series, what exercises to pick, you should pick the stuff that you haven't done. So what did I did? I did a vertical overhead press, and I did a vertical pulling movement. So now let's do something horizontal. Now let me do like a flat press, and let me do a row. You could do like a kneeling row or a low pulley row or something like that for your pulling movement. Then you could finish off with some supersets, some biceps and triceps or something like that. There you have a great upper body day. Same thing goes for lower body. You could do squats, which is predominantly a quadriceps movement, and you can superset that with like a hamstring curl. Okay, a lying leg curl or a kneeling leg curl or any one of the leg curl variations. Okay, then for your next exercise, you could go split squat or walking lunge with like a good morning or an RDL, something for your posterior chain. And then for your last one, you could do like a step up with like a back extension, a horizontal back extension, or a 45-degree back extension or something like that. So you work, you're always going anterior and posterior, antagonist supersets. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about, now that we have all those information, is when should you work out? When should you work out what muscle groups? Like and the term for this is a split. So you have to figure out how many times a week you want to go to the gym. I would aim for that 3 to 4 range. You can get really good results with 2 times a week, but that 3 to 4 range is that sweet spot. If you can devote 4 hours a week to strength training, that's awesome. With that being said, there are 2 main splits that I really like with 4 times a week strength training, okay? So the one, looking at the whole week, on Monday you would do upper body. On Tuesday you would do lower body. Wednesday you would take off. Thursday you would do upper body again, and Friday you would do lower body. Then you would take the weekend off. That seems to work well for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't like to work out on the weekends. They like to do stuff with their friends or with their family or whatever. The other split is what's called a 5-day split. So then instead of doing that upper lower split, you would do a muscle group split. So you would do like chest and back, for example, on Monday. You would do lower body on Tuesday. You would take Wednesday off. You would do arms and shoulders on Thursday. And then you would take Friday off completely. And that's your 5 days. Then the 5 days would restart and you would go back to day 1. But that day 1 would be on the Saturday. That one works really good because it gives you more rest between each body part. So it's just the right amount of time to recover and then come back stronger. So I really like 5-day splits, but that really depends on your schedule, right? Because a lot of people, it's just not feasible to work out on the weekends. At the end of the day, the best split for you is the one that you're going to follow. So a 5-day split might be the best one on paper, but you're like, okay, I'm going to do a 5-day split, let's go. And then you start it, and then you skip your weekends and you're like, oh, well, I can't make it to the gym on the weekends. So you end up like messing up the 5-day split and not doing a true 5-day split. Then you're better off doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, that upper, lower, upper, lower. So now that I've given you the tools and you can put together a great program yourself, now how long do you do that program for? You introduce a new stimulus, and now your body is adapting to it, and you're making progress, and then it's completely adapted to it. And now you plateau. So now it's time to switch up the stimulus. So how do we do that? We have to change one of the variables. We either have to change up the reps, we have to change up the sets, we have to change up the tempo, we have to change up the exercise selection, so the exercise that you're doing, any one of those things, all of them or some of them, right? So the main two ways that people make mistakes with this is either they stick with one program for way too long, or they don't spend enough time doing a certain program. So an example of that would be like on Monday you come in and you do 3 sets of 12, and then on Tuesday you do 4 sets of 6, and then on Friday you do 10 sets of 1, and then on Thursday you do like 3 sets of 20. So then what this is, it confuses your body, so your body doesn't know what the stimulus is that you're trying to apply. It doesn't know what strength quality you're trying to work on. And then on the other side, if you just stay on the same thing for the whole time, then your body adapts to that stimulus and then you're not progressing, you're just going to plateau. So there's two ways that you can go about periodization. You could do linear periodization, where you can just start and you can be like, okay, we're going to start with 12 reps, then we're going to go 10 reps, then we're going to go 8 reps, then we're going to go 6 reps, then we're going to go 4 reps, then we're going to go 2 reps, all the way down to 1 rep. And then you make the necessary adjustments to the sets and the rest periods and everything like that as you go through there. I don't recommend this because progress isn't linear. So it's better to use an undulating method. What you would do is you would take your first phase and you would start with like 12 reps. And then on your second phase, you would drop down to like 8 reps. And then on your third phase, you would go back up to like 10 reps. And then on your fourth phase, you would drop back down to like 6 reps. So start with volume, go to intensity. Then go back to volume, but at a little bit less volume, then back down to intensity. And you go all the way down. It's gonna take you about 12 months, like a year, somewhere up in there. And then you go back up, and now you're stronger. You've been training for a year, so now you can use heavier loads. And after you train for enough time and you build up your strength and you build up your muscle and everything like that, then you'll get to a point where now it's time to start using some cool methods. So then you can start doing stuff like trisets or giant sets or same muscle group supersets. My whole goal with this video is to just give you kind of like a blueprint that you can take and you can be like, okay, what's my goal? What do I want to accomplish? And then based off of that, you can plug in the reps, and then that's going to dictate everything else. The main thing that I can kind of go over is what I think you should be doing, and this is my personal opinion. Everyone has their different opinions, but if you want to transform your body, if you want to increase your lean mass and drop your body fat, you need to prioritize strength training. What that pretty much means is you only have 4 hours in a week to dedicate to exercise. Those 4 hours should be dedicated to resistance training, so lifting weights. You shouldn't be like, okay, well, I'm gonna do like 1 hour of weights and then I'm gonna do 3 cardio sessions. You can do, if you hit your 4 hours, your 4 sessions of resistance training, you can add that other stuff on top. That was video number 2. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, share, smash that like button, send it to your mom, send it to your aunt,
really?
Send it to your barber, send it to your boss. Really, anyone who like is trying to get swole. We'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. You were watching Baker Fitness.